Hi everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of my Euro Truck Simulator 2 career mode. And today's a very exciting episode for me because I am finally after a long break between it ended up being one episode, getting my mainland garage. And I miscalculated because I had thought that it was going to take me probably at least a couple of weeks to gradually earn up the money to get this. But instead, I earned $170,000 between two jobs. And I am going to now take this job that's going to head up to Cologne. And where I want to really end up is in Luxembourg. And I'm buying my garage in Luxembourg for two important reasons. The first is it's a nice little central location that will get me to a lot of great places that I want to haul cargo to. And the second one is I believe by getting a garage in Luxembourg, I can choose the achievement that will let me have all the garages in one country, because I believe there's only one garage in the country. So we are hooked up, and all right, so we're hooked up to our truck. It's about a 22-hour drive, so it'll be a little over an hour in real time, and I'll touch base with you again when we are on the highway. I'm going to talk a little bit about, the episode that I didn't film. So, last night before I went to bed, I took an external contract job that was a 40-hour run from Slovakia to someplace in Spain. And I had a 19-hour duration, and I usually don't like to take an external contract job before I go to bed, but this one paid $100,000, so I wanted to grab it up, and I figured I'm gonna have plenty of time, and I thought, oh wow, this would be a great one to film. 39 hours across Europe. This is going to be great. And as a result of that, I didn't end up just starting it and knocking off an hour before I went to bed, even though I knew I'd probably have enough time to do it. And I woke up in the morning and I was a little tired and decided I'm not in the mood to talk into a microphone this early in the morning. And I also needed to run an errand for a couple hours, which was going to knock it down. But by the time I woke up in the morning and got going, there was like 6 hours left on the timer. So then I was gone for 2 hours. And it took close to that to run across Europe. I had a couple of interruptions as I was working on it, and a few own goals, like I missed my turn on at least once or twice. And as you start knocking those hours down on the external contracts, it really started to stress me out. And I actually finished the job in under 1 minute left. And I don't know what happens on the external contracts, if it just goes away when the time expires, or if I get a late penalty. And especially where the main reason I was doing that job was what at the time for me is a relatively insane amount of money. I'd been disappointed getting anything but the full, and I was able to, which gets me to my thoughts. Most of the time, I like the external contract jobs. If I sit down to play the game, almost always the extra timer remaining on the external contract far exceeds how much time I would actually have to be able to play in the game. And it's also rare that I will take one that has relatively that much time remaining when I go to bed. Sometimes I've taken a few that had a 24-hour timer, and I knew, okay, I'll be able to get to this, but it took longer to get there. And I've really been sort of going back and forth on whether or not I want to keep taking the external contract jobs. And spoiler alert, if you didn't happen to catch it as I started this one is an external contract job, or if I wanted to do more of the freight market ones. And the difference is that the timer on the freight market ones will run down only when I am in the game. And depending on how long I have to complete the job, that can be good or bad, because it may not allow me the proper time to get some of the rest that I usually like to take, or it can be a little time consuming. And I also like with the external contract jobs that they pay a little bit more, and everything syncs up to my World of Trucks account, and I do data analysis for a living, sort of, and I like looking at all that data right up there as opposed to just on my profile. So I think I'm going to still keep taking the external contract jobs. The other thing I like about them too is they'll show me the area that I'm in, because a lot of times I'll get teased and it'll be like, oh, here's an expensive job, but I'm not anywhere near the pickup location. And ooh, that was a swerve. Um, but I think that what I might do on one of my long haul trips is I think I'm going to set myself the challenge of doing it as a freight market contract and seeing how I do with being on time. So I'll do that in a future episode. So it's about 6:30 in the morning, and we've got about 18 hours left in the journey. And this episode is a good example of what I want to try to do with these videos. For me, especially after griping about it for the last two episodes, getting my first garage was something that I wanted to happen on camera. I didn't think that it would. I just wanted it to be something that we had this moment together. Just us. A little bit of us time. And obviously, I'm probably not going to shoot every one of these that I do, but if I'm going for an achievement run or I'm going after something specific or I'm going to be doing something specific, I'm going to want to shoot a video on it. And it's going to make, in my mind, producing these a lot easier, because when I sit down and say, okay, here's what I want to try and get done today. Like an example too, as I mentioned earlier, is I'm going to try to do a game time long run across Europe to see how I make out. And I'm also going to start a series on American Truck Simulator, and it is also very likely that episode may come out before this one. It's next on my list of stuff to be to shoot, and another toll booth. I just passed one. Oh, it's a nice sun up there. I'm not sure what my next video is going to be. I think that there's an achievement I want to start getting, which is I think it's Going Nuclear, where you have to deliver cargo to 4 of France's nuclear power plants. So I'm going to keep my eye open for jobs for that to see what I can do about starting to earn that one. And I also want to get I think it's the Road to the Black Sea achievement after I get the Road to the Black Sea DLC, which is doing those perfect jobs. Looking at my blue sleep bar fill up, I'm reminded that I need to do a much better job at keeping track of what time it is when I wake up from my rests. My long-term goal is to not have to use the HUD. Eventually, like when I get a truck that's got the built-in GPS, I want to use the GPS, and I want to use the in-game instruments instead of relying on the HUD. And as a result of that, I'm going to have to actually write down and see, okay, I woke up from my nap at this time, and when do I need to start looking for another place to rest without using the blue bar. It's a little bit easier. I'm running a mod that makes it smaller, but I eventually want to just rely on the game cues instead of a heads-up display. I'm still debating also getting a new Volvo truck. I still have my heart set on getting one of those, and probably after I get my garage, it will be the next thing that I get. The thing is too is that the Yellow Menace, as I refer to this, is really starting to grow on me. I know I can upgrade the interior and a whole bunch of other stuff, and the Volvo is also probably a functionally better truck with some of the upgrades and stuff. But I've been driving around in this thing, for a couple of weeks, and I like it. I didn't like it at first. I thought I'd made a horrible mistake, and honestly probably did. But looking at some of the other options, and especially with the colors, I kind of like this thing. At least I hope it's yellow. I'm colorblind. I think it's yellow. Hey! Okay, we've got just over an hour left, and we're rolling over a very nice looking bridge. And my goal is, once we get to Cologne, to hopefully find another job that brings us down into Luxembourg. But if not, I'll just take the ride down. So let's talk about directionals. Other than the fact that everybody should be using them anyway, even though I'm from Boston, where they are viewed as a sign of weakness. I've noticed that the game, more often than not, respects the directional, and if I'm trying to make a left-hand turn, eventually the traffic will stop and let me in, which, which is nice. Gonna get close enough to get this mystery square. Yes, recruitment agency.
Get ready to turn left. Turn left. Finally, we are here.
Did she just say, finally, we are here? I'm doing it. So here's my hope, which probably is not going to have any basis in reality, is I can sort of do, well, it's probably going to be a 20-point turn, but to get the trailer backed around, because I did not want to back it down that entire thing. So we'll see how this goes. All right, that one went really well. Redeemed myself from the last one. Almost level 17. All right. There aren't any jobs that will bring me down to Luxembourg, so I'm going to drive down there on my own, and I will catch up with you when I'm ready to buy the garage. Okay, we're getting ready to pull into what will be the new home of Glacier Trucking Empire. Okay, everyone, we've got our new garage, and thank you for joining me again, and I look forward to our next time together.